What if UFOs aren't simply crashing near military bases by coincidence? What if they're being deliberately drawn in, summoned even, so that the military can bring them down using advanced directed energy weapons for the sole purpose of reverse engineering their technology? It's an unsettling thought, but the patterns suggest it might not be far from the truth. UFO crashes overwhelmingly happen near military installations, and the military always seems to be immediately on the scene, securing the wreckage before the public gets a chance to investigate. If these were purely random events, we wouldn't see such a strong correlation. The more likely explanation? These encounters are being engineered. Roswell, 1947. The beginning of the cover-up. The Roswell Incident is the most famous UFO case in history. Initially, the U.S. Army confirmed that they had recovered a flying saucer, but within 24 hours, the story changed. It was just a weather balloon. That level of backtracking suggests something far more significant was at play. What's particularly interesting is that reports from the time indicate that high-powered radar stations in the area were behaving unusually before the crash. Some researchers believe the military may have been experimenting with radar-based interference, either to track UFOs or, intentionally or not, disrupt their systems. If this was a targeted event, it would mean that from as early as 1947, the military had already begun attempts to disable and capture these craft. Kecksburg, 1965. A precision strike? In Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, a metallic, acorn-shaped object crashed in the woods, and before local authorities could even investigate, the U.S. military arrived in force, rapidly securing the area and removing the wreckage. The level of secrecy and efficiency in their response raises some serious questions. How did they know exactly where to go? What if they weren't simply responding to an unexpected crash, but instead had already been tracking and manipulating the craft's descent? One theory suggests that Kecksburg may have been an experiment in controlled takedowns, using targeted energy emissions or signal interference to force an unidentified aerial vehicle into a calculated crash landing. If that's the case, it could have been a pivotal moment in military history. Proof that we had the capability to capture and study advanced non-human technology. The Cash-Landrum Incident, 1980. A failed recovery? This case is particularly chilling. In Texas, 2 women and a child encountered a massive glowing craft escorted by numerous military helicopters. Not long after, all 3 suffered severe radiation burns and poisoning, symptoms consistent with exposure to high levels of radiation. The official narrative dismisses the event as a misunderstanding, but the presence of military helicopters suggests something much more deliberate. What if this was an attempted capture of an active UFO? Perhaps the military had disabled its propulsion system, but underestimated its residual energy output. The result? A botched recovery operation that led to unintended civilian casualties. How is this happening? If the military is deliberately targeting and bringing down UFOs, how are they doing it? There are several plausible methods. Electromagnetic warfare. UFOs are often reported to interfere with electrical systems, causing power outages and disruptions. But what if the military has figured out how to reverse that effect? Using electromagnetic pulses, or EMPs, or frequency jamming, they could be disrupting a UFO's navigation and forcing it into a crash. Directed energy weapons, or DEWs. The military has been developing high-energy laser and microwave weapons for decades. It's entirely possible they possess classified versions capable of disabling a UFO mid-flight, either by overheating its systems or disrupting its structural integrity. Radar and signal disruption. Some reports suggest that certain types of high-powered radar have unintended effects on UFOs, possibly interfering with their propulsion or communications. If the military has weaponized this technology, they could be using radar arrays to systematically force UFOs into controlled crashes. UFO Summoning. The baiting theory. It's been proposed that UFOs respond to specific electromagnetic signals or frequencies. If the military has discovered a way to attract these craft, perhaps using specific radio frequencies or even consciousness-based experiments, they could be luring them in, only to strike once they are within range. Why would they do this? The motive is clear: technological superiority. If even one of these craft contains propulsion or materials beyond human capability, that knowledge would revolutionize aerospace, energy, and military defense. The government's absolute secrecy on UFO retrievals suggests they've been working on this for decades, possibly since Roswell. The staggering leaps in technology since the mid-20th century, stealth aircraft, advanced composite materials, quantum computing, beg the question: did we develop these innovations alone? Or has there been assistance in the form of recovered technology that was never meant to be in our hands? The bigger question: are we at war without knowing it? If this theory holds any weight, it suggests something even more unsettling. We aren't just observing unidentified aerial phenomena, we are actively engaging with them, taking them down, and exploiting their technology. If that's true, how long before the intelligence behind these craft decides that enough is enough? For decades, we have treated UFOs as a mystery, but if we've been hunting them, the real question isn't what they are anymore. It's when they will retaliate.